Let's welcome Barret Edelstein back onto the Celeb Savant. How's it going?
I'm very good, and you? Thank you for having me today.
It's a great pleasure. Interesting conversation today. Certainly in this context for the show today, more about somebody else than the actual guest that we're interviewing. But it's a great story. Tell us who we're chatting about today.
So Anthony Phillips was part of the original lineup of the band Genesis, as we all know, that had Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins, Mike Rutherford. And he left the band before they became successful. And then he went on to his own solo career, creating music for library music for movies. He's done lots of stuff in the movie space.
Right.
And created has had its success on his own path.
Yeah.
So listen to the podcast for his story. But in this specific clip, he was an observer of Peter Gabriel and his personality in how he dealt with life. So should we listen to the clip and then chat?
Let's do it.
Peter Gabriel was actually very quiet to start with, very unprepossessing, nice chap, but very quiet and not rebellious at all. Whereas Peter sort of almost overnight suddenly developed a very eccentric streak. And I hadn't realized Pete could sing for the first 2 years I was there. And suddenly he was, because as I say, he was quite a shy guy and he remained so. But he'd suddenly be on the dining room table, sort of cavorting and singing. And it was like, hang on, this guy's got an alter ego. There's a different side to this man, you know.
Doesn't surprise me that Peter Gabriel is a quiet, shy human being. If you listen to some of his music, it's very deep. Yeah. Very deep. Have you ever listened to Peter Gabriel's music?
Well, I mean, obviously I know that song Sledgehammer. But,
Yeah. No. There's a whole depth to Peter Gabriel that fans will know is not just Sledgehammer.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that Anthony Phillips mentions that he's the quiet, shy, retiring person in the studio. And then this alter ego.
What's interesting is I've spoken to a lot of artists, and a lot of artists are very shy. They're very, but they love the attention. So because of the shyness and introvertness, a lot of them create this persona or create another of them in order to deal with them going on stage and performing and portraying a character.
It's interesting.
So a lot of the artists do have that.
Did you talk to Anthony Phillips about any regrets that he might have from potentially not being part of the Genesis wave when they were huge?
So I actually remember now why he left the band. So he got very ill.
Okay.
So it's discussed more on the podcast. He got very ill, and he, I can't remember exactly what the illness was, but because he became ill, he couldn't go on tour or do things with them at the time. And then that's how they split. And then he went on his own way and he carried on with his own thing. It was quite serious. He was in hospital for a period of time. And he just couldn't do anything at that time. So that's why there was that break. But it is what it is. He never spoke of any regrets.
Okay.
But he's had his own journey, and we spoke more about that.
Sure, absolutely. And I think it would be offensive to kind of press on the whole Genesis thing when you're talking to Anthony Phillips.
Exactly.
So I tell you what, the podcast is up at nova.com.na. Under the blog section, you can go and have a listen to the full thing there and find out what Barret had to say to Anthony and Anthony to Barret as well.